Hey, I'm here with Sean Kershaw. We're talking today about active citizenship. Active citizenship is, in your words, Sean?
I think the best definition of active citizenship that I can think of, it's the ability for people to get things done that serve the common good. So it's the ability that anybody has just to do something wherever they are that benefits the world around them.
And who are you? You're Sean Kershaw of the Citizens League. And what does the Citizens League do? Why are you here?
The mission of the Citizens League is to build civic imagination and capacity. And we work in Minnesota. And so what do we mean by that? That a common thing that I mention to people is that we're an organization of people who love Minnesota and want to solve problems.
Okay.
So 3 things that are important. We're very nonpartisan. We'll look at any issue that matters to Minnesota. But most importantly, we're a group of members. So we are an organization of essentially 2,100 active citizens who love Minnesota and who work together to solve public problems. So the notion of around the conference of civic imagination and capacity matters because we want to inspire people to make the world, make Minnesota better, and we want to give them the tools and the ability to actually get that done.
So civic imagination, in the scheme of what's happening in Minnesota, is it high or is it low?
The great thing about Minnesota is that we're a state that has this great civic heritage, this great civic culture, and this real sense of, among the population, that they want the state to be great. So the civic imagination in Minnesota is really high.
And the civic capacity is
another question, because it's one thing to want to do something.
Yep.
It's another to know how to do it. And I think most of our work right now, if you were to go to our members, they're inspired and they want to get stuff done. It's all a question of how. So great on the civic imagination. What we're trying to put in place are what are models for doing public policy, for doing civic work, for being an active citizen that work today. And the great thing about the world we're in now is we have all these tools, all these technologies, all these abilities that didn't exist 50 years ago when we were founded.
So now things are changing. Are you talking about technology, social media, the way we communicate?
I think the civic world has to change as much as the technology world has. I mean, one of the graphics I use for people is that I put up the picture of Lily Tomlin's character, the operator.
One ringy dingy.
One ringy dingy. I mean, I can't believe I
We're over 30.
And everybody in the room who's under my age, under 40, says, "What is that?" But the civic world sort of used to work in that world. And then I had to show up a picture of people text messaging each other. And in both situations, they're making phone calls. And that describes how much the world has changed. So most of the civic world has the capacity built for 20 years ago.
Right.
And we're in a new world.
And so we saw that change with this last election, and now President Obama saying change, right? And doing change.org and taking these new technologies and engaging people. Is that part of what needs to happen?
It's exactly what needs to happen. I mean, the great thing about the election was you saw this new generation, literally a new generation, as well as people in all generations, get engaged. They get engaged on both parties, but certainly Obama captured it best. And the great thing about election is you have an endpoint and you're shooting for that goal and you know what to do. The opportunity we're trying to grab onto now is how to take people who were inspired, whatever political party, to do something to make a difference, who even got involved in a campaign and loved the experience, to say, okay, how do you translate that into your workplace, into your neighborhood, into your congregation, into the places where they spend time and where they can have a difference, make a difference.
So you think people will make a difference locally?
Right.
And we don't always love the term grassroots, but really in a most simple, localized, one-on-one.
I think the great opportunity we have right now, and what we're trying to tap into, is how can people make a difference where they are, like literally. And so that it's not about becoming an elected official necessarily. It's not about having to be the head of your organization. Our whole goal is to show people models of active citizenship, getting involved in public policy that they can do in their workplace, in their family, in their neighborhood, in their congregations, so that the future of us of public policy making is bringing public policy into all of those places that people already are and already can make a difference.
And it's more accessible than it's ever been before.
One of the things that I say is that it's not about solving world peace, it's about solving your piece of the world. So that it's great to have a vision of wanting to do something and to make the world better.
Right.
What we want to do is connect people and give them capacity to do something in their piece of the world where they are right now.
What's one of the coolest things you've seen relating to civic imagination? What's one of the exciting projects you're working on, or?
To me, the best example I can think of the work and the idea of active citizenship and a new imagination, a new capacity, is when we went to high school students and we involved high school students in talking about high school reform. Because as obvious as that is, it never really happens. And what we did was we brought these students into the process. Nobody thought they could do anything. They thought they would advocate for more pop machines and time off.
Yeah.
And
Or recess.
They changed the discussion. They inspired leaders, so they were working with traditional policy leaders. These students were inspiring. They were practical. They came up with things that you could do on issues like bullying or closing the achievement gap in schools. Like, they actually came up. It was this amazing mix of real inspiration and real practical solutions. And that, to me, is the best example.
So it sounds like you're pretty inspired by the millennial generation and how they will change the shape of what civic participation and active citizenship looks like.
More than anything else, I think we're at this moment in time where the future of civic engagement, of active citizenship, of civic imagination couldn't be better. We're at a renaissance point. And what we think is exciting and inspiring is to see all of these people showing up in their 20s and 30s who want to get things done, they want to contribute, they want to have an impact, they want to learn. There's something really exciting happening in the millennial generation that's unlike any of the generations before them, except probably their grandparents and great-grandparents, the greatest generation. So we're in this amazing moment in time where we've got to tap into that energy, we've got to educate them on the issues, and we've got to help them make an impact that, not only benefits them in the future, but benefits us right now.
Well, that's really exciting, Sean. And what is your URL so we can learn more about all the great work that the Citizens League does?
The Citizens League is at citizensleague.org.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks.